Washington, D.C., from Austin to Montana. The problem is if you do an interview with a Democrat and you're a member of a Republican Party, the Democrat can then accuse you of being biased in the story, and vice versa. So you are not allowed to be a member of a party.
Heaven forbid if the media is biased.
Yeah, no kidding,
Grant, we're going to start with you again for my questions. How long have you resided in District 24?
I just moved to District 24 3 months ago. Well, not even 3 months ago, 2 months ago. And I felt it's important to live in the district. But what I will tell you is the Founding Fathers don't require it. You don't have to live in a district. And if you've ever looked at the district, they gerrymander themselves around this way and that way. And I tell people, folks, you didn't pick Kenny Marchand as your congressman. He picked you. When he was in Austin, they redistricted the area just so he could have that seat. And he won with only 9,000 votes. This is the Metroplex. And we represent the Metroplex and the nation. And it is imperative that we have leaders who are willing to stand up and fight. And my business is in the district. I own property. I own a quick car oil change business. We employ just about 10 guys there, and that's in the heart of the district. Hope that answers it for you.
Same question for you. How long has Congressman lived in District 24?
Congressman Marchand has lived in the Farmers Branch, Carrollton, Capella area for almost 5 decades.
Grant, this is a question specifically for you. What experience do you have as a political leader, specifically what qualifies you to run for Congress?
That's the question I love most. I have no political experience, which means I don't know anybody's anything. I don't know anybody a dime. The experience that I have covering politics let me see the good, the bad, and the ugly. I know what worked. I know what doesn't work. I decided to run for office when the news business was going in the tank. Okay? And I got tired of interviewing career politicians with no common sense. Tired of talking to politicians who want to talk over the American public and trying to make things more complicated than they really are. Folks, we need to get back to the basics in this nation. We need to get back to reality and limited government. Not career politicians who want to double their net worth. Kenny's net worth went from $25 to $50 million between 2008 and 2010. Yet he won't come and sit at a forum like this to answer any of those questions. I think we deserve answers to those questions. And so that's what I'll be for you in Congress. Somebody who's willing to ask the questions and then expose the answers so you at home know exactly what's going on.
Jeff, why don't we go to you? And let me ask you, many political candidates have served their city in many ways, such as serving on city council, mayors, serving on city planning boards, leading Bible studies, etc. How have you been serving in this community, and what leadership positions have you held?
Me, you're asking on my behalf?
You're answering for Ken.
Oh.
You're answering for Ken.
You're asking on what boards he served on?
Yes.
Okay. Kenny Marchand has served as a councilman in the city of Carrollton. He served as our mayor in the city of Carrollton. As I mentioned, he also has served in the Texas legislature and again in Congress.
The question also speaks to how he's been a servant for the community, a servant, not an elected official, but what are the things he may have done?
In Carrollton, I know he has served, or I should say, he has been involved with many benevolent organizations, and also besides church and family matters, he's also helped out in establishing other, well, helping like one of the ball fields happen over here, Jimmy Porter Field, for example. And to every degree back then, I don't know, I wasn't involved back then, in the 90s.
Okay, thank you. Grant, same question for you. Many political candidates have served their city in many different ways. Some elected positions and some planning boards, leading Bible studies, etc. How can you discern it for your community?
The best thing about working for Channel 5 was that I got to go out there every day and meet interesting people and do interesting stories, and at the end of the day, help people. I would come home, and even if it was just making a phone call to fix a grandmother's electric bill where I called the CEO of TXU, I could come home and say, job well done. I've been with victims of fires. I've been with victims of hurricanes, victims of tornadoes, and I helped them lift and put their houses back together. We fought for identity theft. I won an Emmy Award for my series that led to 12 laws in Texas to fight identity theft. But all these questions don't get to the heart of the issue of this campaign. All these things that you did in the past is not about the future. It's about what are we going to do as a nation and fight. Folks, we got to send leaders who are willing to stand up and take the battle to the other side in Washington. And if we don't do this, and if we fall back on what award was this, and where did they serve here, what political office did they hold, it's not getting us anywhere. That system is broken. It's broken. But I'm confident we can fix the system. It's just going to take all of you to help me do it. Thank you.
Grant, starting with you, how would you vote on stimulus plans in Congress if you were a congressman today? And how would you vote on the funding Planned Parenthood in Congress?
So absolutely no more stimulus. I'm a free markets guy. We got to say no. Let free markets take over and rule the land. You know, the debt ceiling was the big issue. Back in the spring, they voted to increase it. I know Congressman Marchant came here and spoke to numerous Tea Party leaders, and he vowed that he would not increase that debt ceiling. And guess what he did, folks? He went up to Washington, and he voted to increase it. And a month later or so, he's named the Ways and Means Committee by John Boehner. It's that kind of behavior that's got to stop. That's called go along to get along politicians. And so, no more stimulus, absolutely not. Was there another part of that question too?
Yeah, and also if you could, I mean, every time you kind of go far afield from the question into your campaign speech, if you could just try to limit your answers to the questions we're asking, and we'll have a period at the end. Part of that was how would you vote?
Stinchfield, keep doing exactly what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There's one great thing about me. I don't back down to anybody. You know, Kenny Marchant won't show up here, and he won't sit in the room with me. And look at me, folks. I'm 160 pounds. If he can't stand up to me, how in the world is he going to stand up to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid? So, no more funding for Planned Parenthood at all. No federal funding for any type of abortion at all.
Jeff, could you answer the questions on how Kenny voted on the stimulus plans and the funding of Planned Parenthood in Congress?
First of all, Kenny Marchant, when it comes to Planned Parenthood, or for that matter, abortion, I mean, Kenny Marchant, with his heart, mind, and soul, is vehemently against the concept and the practice of abortion. Kenny Marchant is against stimulus plans, and he's voted against stimulus plans. Kenny Marchant has been rated by almost a dozen conservative rating agencies as an A or A+ when it comes to conservative fiscal matters.
Grant, what is your position in nullifying Obamacare?
I am hopeful that the Supreme Court will overturn Obamacare. Now, I've listened to a lot of the transcripts, and I've read the briefs, and the Supreme Court gives hints that they will overturn it, and I think they probably will. We need members of Congress to stand up to Obamacare. And if, God forbid, the Supreme Court does not overturn Obamacare, I cannot tell you how important it will be then to have vocal fighters in Washington to put up the fight against Obamacare. And that means every little bit of regulation that is going to be passed through the halls of Congress needs to be exposed. And I'll air TV-style stories on my Congressional website so all of you back home know exactly what's going on in Washington, exactly what little bit of legislation somebody's trying to sneak through on you. The bottom line is Obamacare needs to be overturned, and it needs to be overturned now. And I'm hopeful the Supreme Court will do that before Congress takes it up.
Thank you. Jeff, what would Kenny's position be on nullifying Obamacare?
Kenny has stood firm, and he's been a vocal opponent about Obamacare. It's an abomination in his viewpoint. One thing about television and video and whatnot in Congress, when I vote for someone to represent me in the United States House of Representatives or the Senate, I'm not voting for someone to be on American Idol or dance with the stars. My interest is in their knowledge and their deeds and what they do in Washington. I'm not interested in entertainment tonight. This is the House of Representatives. This is America's house. This is in prime time National Enquirer.
Jeff, can you tell us what religious institution Congressman Martin is affiliated with?
Congressman Martin has been a member of the Church of the Nazarene. He also studied in college and at one point to become a minister in the church.
Grant, can you tell us what religious institution you're affiliated with and what role you play in your church?
I'm a Catholic. We are raising our son to be a Catholic, and we are members of St. Rita's Church in Dallas.
Okay, Kenny,
I wish I had his
Jeff, would you answer for Kenny? Please tell us in your own words about Sharia law issues in the USA and what his stand is on Sharia law.
There's only one set of laws in this country. We are governed by a constitution. We're a nation of laws, American laws, laws that have been fought over for that right from the beginning of this republic. In this state, in this country, every elected official takes an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, not Sharia law, not Colombian law, not Antarctica law, the United States law, and that's it.
Grant, tell us please what, in your own words, about Sharia law issues in the U.S. and what your stand would be on Sharia law.
It's going to be one of the issues that Congressman Martin and I agree on. Sharia law has no place in the federal government or in the United States for that matter in any way, shape, or form. We don't need any foreign entities telling us what to do. And that goes for Agenda 21 as well. And I asked where was Congress when Agenda 21 is being pushed through the United Nations and infringing on all of our rights. And so anything where a foreign body is going to tell us how to behave and act as Americans needs to be shut down right away.
Grant, let's start with you on this next question. What would you do with the millions of illegal immigrants who are living in our country right now?
The millions of illegal immigrants in this country are bringing this nation down. And they're a huge drain financially on us. But the bottom line is we can't figure out what to do with those millions of people here until we shut down the borders completely. Otherwise, you get a revolving door situation where you figure out to do something with 1 million people and then you have 1 million new ones, and then what do you do with them? So I'm for building a wall along the southern border of Texas. And I don't say that to be mean. I just say the best way to keep somebody off my property is to build a fence. We're the greatest nation in the world. We can do it. And the cost to build it will pale in comparison to the amount of money it will save us. Now, we combine that with high fences and wide gates. We need to make it easy for good people to come here. It's very difficult for good people to come here from Mexico. But there is a need for immigrant labor. This nation was built on immigrant labor. My great-grandfather came here from Italy, started with 1 man, and built an electrical construction company up to running 700 men. And we need to make it easy for immigrants to be here, but we need to know who's coming and going, and we can't figure out what to do with the millions here.